So Aries. So Sagittarius and Aries.
Sagittarius and Aries go very well. They're both fire signs. So I think just off the bat, a lot of things that are good with the relationship. A lot of spontaneity, a lot of passion, a lot of forward movement. I just think as far as sparking new ideas and stuff like that, they will have a really good time with each other. And probably a lot of arguing, tempers and stuff, both fire and fire. But overall, I think it's something that is a relationship that could work very well.
Sagittarius and Taurus.
Sagittarius and Taurus, that might be a little harder. Taurus are traditionally known for kind of taking their time with things. That might not work well with Sagittarius' spontaneity and just wanting to be out in the world and learn new things. Even though on a certain level, Taurus do like variety, but it's kind of like more sensual. So they like different details of food and anything that stimulates the senses in a very detailed way, but not necessarily an intellectual way. Gemini, they would work well. They work well. What's interesting is that they're polarities. So each sign has a polarity. They have an opposite. So Sagittarius and Gemini are opposite of one another, but they're just polar opposites are the same. There's different degrees of the same aspect of nature, which is really intellect. Gemini deals with immediate information and learning. So like represents childhood. It represents when you first. Gemini represents when the moment where you start to communicate with the world. You start interacting with your environment, your immediate environment. So your parents, your siblings, your neighborhood. What was your route walking to school? This is all Gemini, So the polar of that is now going out into the world at large, which is Sagittarius, and learning about different places and things, but still, again, of the same nature. So I think it would be a very intellectual relationship. It would be a very spontaneous relationship. They definitely would be able to keep each other interested. But also in the nature of both signs, they might, it was fun. Boom. It might be very short-lived, but it'll be very fun.
Alright, nobody's favorite.
Sagittarius and Cancer, there might be some issues. One major issue I feel like it would be is the sharp tongue of the Sagittarius, of just saying whatever just comes to mind, and this hypersensitivity of the Cancer. I do not think that will work well. I think, Sag will say something that will hurt the Cancer's feelings for 50 years, and they'll still be saying, when back in 1972 you said this thing to me, and I think it's a dub.
Alright, what about Leo?
Leo, again, another fire sign, so I think there's an element of it'd be a very passionate relationship. Leos are traditionally known for their loyalty, so I don't know how well that will work with Sagittarius's. They're infamous for being flighty, so it's kind of opposite. It's loyalty, and you stay here, and you're by my side. Maybe that almost like regal royalty, king and queen kind of thing. And then Sag is saying, Sagittarius don't like to be, it's like the flame. It's like putting a glass over a flame. It just goes out. So while it might be very passionate, I feel like a lot of elements of it might not work. They would work creatively too. I think that would work well, but something tells me out of all the fire combinations, that might not work as well. But I think it would be a very passionate relationship.
Alright,
Virgo. They're both mutable signs, so there's an element of adaptability that I think they both rock with. Very intellectual relationship. I know a lot of Virgos, so like I don't want to get into the whole like this, the stereotype of them being so stiff and regimen, because not a lot of Virgos are like that. They do have a certain logic and structure to them that might balance out the Sagittarius's energy if they're open to it. I think a Sagittarius that's willing to learn certain elements of practicality, I think it could work well. Because these are things they could use to kind of just flow in, whatever environment they choose to travel to next. Fairly good relationship.
Alright, what about Libra?
Libra, I know my personal experiences as a Libra. I like Sagittarius. I never dated one, but I could see how it could work. Just the, air signs are very intellectual, and they, put a lot of energy into thought. So I think that balancing out with Sagittarius's desire to learn and learn about the world, I think it could be a very romantic and fun, spontaneous relationship.
Scorpio.
Scorpio, I would say is a dub. I don't see that working out for the most part. I think the amount of, it might be short-lived. It might be fun for a few months or something, or like if you're just looking for something that's not too like a fling, I think it might work in that element, maybe sexually, but honestly I think the amount of passion and presence that a Scorpio might need in their partner, especially if they're looking for something long term, might not work too well with the Sagittarius energy that wants the option of being able to spontaneously just go as they please. I think that might kind of bump heads a bit. I think anytime Sagittarius are under a kind of pressure to stay in something and no option to leave, like all the doors are closed, that's when you lost a Sag.
Alright. Sagittarius. I know it's the same sign, but like,
that could be very fun.
Are there ever times the same signs are just not a good idea together?
I would say on some level, depending on the sign, it's kind of boring. Like, you're a Libra dating a Libra. I've dated Libras, and it was fun, but it was just like, I kind of know what you're gonna do because I'm a Libra, or I do that shit too. So, I mean, it all depends on what you want. Sagittarius and Sagittarius, you having someone that can keep up with you and kind of is on the same page with you as far as like what you ultimately desire, what you ultimately want, and just like, respecting that you want similar things, just as far as like freedom and and learning and this passion and stuff like that. I think it could work out.
What about Capricorn?
Another sign. I definitely don't think Capricorn will work. They're a little more slow pace, and when I say slow pace, I don't mean like they're dumb or what. It's just their thing is very much about taking very small practical steps towards a goal. So it kind of sucks the spontaneity out of the relationship if they want very consistent things that the Sag might not be I wouldn't say not be able to offer, but just not want to offer. Aquarius could work. I think I've known a couple or two that was Aquarius and Sag. I think the rebellious nature of Aquarius and the spontaneity of Sagittarius is something that is like I think that works very well. I think neither sign wants to be held down, especially by like I guess the pretenses that come with tradition. So they could just almost create their own like little world. It might bump heads if they conflict in values, but for the most part, I think something very constructive can happen from it, or just have a fun relationship. think it would be a very fun relationship.
All right, last. What about Pisces?
Pisces. Think it will. Certain elements of it that can work, and certain elements that don't work. I think like Cancer. I think the hypersensitivity of a Pisces might not be able to handle Sag on certain levels, because certain things they might say that might really affect them emotionally. But the other thing about Pisces is their elusiveness. There could be people that are very hard to kind of keep track of. So, that might work to the Sagittarius advantage, but sometimes when certain things you do might be done to you, it might not, you might not feel it as much. So, a Sagittarius might not want to be held down per se by like, just certain what they might perceive as unnecessary restrictions, but they might be like, well, why ain't picking up the phone or not answering the text, But Pisces' ability to just kind of go with the flow might actually work to the Sagittarius' advantage. Them not wanting to really dominate too much and just kind of, oh, we going here? All right, cool. Why not? Let's go there. Maybe I'll learn something, I think that overall could be a cool relationship.